One thing you should remember from what I'm going to say is that context is everything. And the reason I say this is because a lot of times, particularly with financial choices, we base a lot of decisions on maybe a more kind of individualistic or a particular lens that is really North American centric, or really centric from kind of a US or a UK kind of point of view. And I say this because, so I did a field experiment in Mexico, and we were trying to get individuals to save for retirement. Turns out in Mexico, less than 0.3% of people ever make a voluntary retirement contribution in any given year, right? So we had the deck stacked against us. So one thing is that we said, well, we're going to send reminders, right? SMS sort of text reminders, right? And so before we're even going to do that, we should figure out what exactly their barriers are. Why don't people save? This is a broad kind of question. But what was interesting about this is that some people said, well, the similar things that they'll say in kind of these other cases like Canada and US, UK. People would say, oh, I'm not really sure. It's hard to calculate the rate of return, or I forget, or some other folks would say, I'm not even sure how to go through the process of making a contribution. And that's very similar. What was very interesting is that people also listed a different type of reason, right? Individuals said, well, it's okay if I sacrifice my own retirement because I want to take care of my family today, right? So they're viewing the retirement as this individual choice, and that's okay if they sacrifice it because, of course, they have these immediate needs in a very kind of more collective goal of taking care of their family and providing for their family. So first of all, we can't assume that it's just as simple as people are silly and they're not acting rationally. But it does make sense in terms of rational kind of behavior that they'd want to make sure that everyone in your immediate family is taken care of. So this was one of the interventions we ran. We said, let's secure your family's future by saving for retirement, right? So really making sure that they understood that their retirement savings was something that could benefit not just themselves in the future, but their family. So it turned out that we ran all these different interventions. We tried like a loss aversion framing. We tried a fresh start motivation. We tried just a basic alert, or even framing things as small, more manageable goals, all things that had worked in the US, the UK, and Canada. None of these worked, right, significantly relative to no intervention at all. In fact, the only thing that worked was this notion of family and securing this family's future. But we didn't want to stop there, because we said, well, does this happen for everyone, right? When we say it works, it significantly led to increased contributions. But people are different, right? And so the one thing that popped out is we used machine learning to figure out whether there's any heterogeneity, meaning do different people act differently with the same interventions? And that's where we had some very interesting patterns emerge. So with all of our particular treatments, we ended up finding that young people, young women, were less likely to save and make a voluntary retirement contribution when given any of those treatments, right? And then people who were a little bit older, in particular women and men, right? Older meaning they were about in their 30s, all of them saved more, they were more likely to save when they had that family message. So then the question is that people would say, and this was exactly what happened, where then a lot of individuals said, oh, these younger women are backfiring with all of these particular interventions. Oh, maybe they think it's a man's job, right? This was the kind of the dialogue. Oh, it's a man's job, but that's not their responsibility. But then qualitative interviews that we've just started to conduct, turns out that a lot of women, younger women in particular, right, they live with their parents, right? And so in fact, when we said secure your family's future by saving for retirement, or when we even just alerted them about securing any kind of their own future, their family's future, or just reminding them to save for retirement, in many contexts, these individuals were thinking not just about their retirement, but they were thinking, well, I've got to also take care of my family, right? My parents. And so we have to understand and take kind of broader lens to look at some of these things to not make assumptions of saying, well, women are this way, men are this way, right? Men don't care about family, but in fact, they actually did, right? They were very much motivated by that message. Or women don't behave in this way, No, but instead we have to think a little bit more broadly about what are the barriers that each individual is facing, and then can we actually kind of speak in that language and not just in a way that we're used to, which is maybe more in an individualistic sense, or, oh, it's just the issue that they can't calculate the cost of, they calculate the compound interest rate that they're going to get and the benefit there, and the rate of return. But think more broadly about what are people's barriers and design interventions that are customized to all the differences that we have across the room. And with technology, we can do this, right, in a lot more easier way than 20, 30, 50 years ago.